And now joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Brahma Chalani, Professor of Strategic Studies at Center for Policy Research from India's capital, New Delhi. Mr. Brahma Chalani, thank you for being with us on this broadcast. We just heard out what Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif had to say. This was in India's capital, New Delhi. He sent out some really strong messages. First up, I want to understand, how do you view this particular event where you have the Iranian Foreign Minister in the midst of huge tensions in West Asia, arriving in India and making that statement?
It's very significant that the Iranian Foreign Minister decided to visit Delhi. Until yesterday, his trip was still uncertain. Iran, as you know, is internationally isolated. And to speak at a major conference event in New Delhi gives Iran an opportunity to address the world. And this is what Foreign Minister Javad Zarif has sought to do. He has conveyed clearly Iran's stance. Also, he has made it clear that Iran has no intention of escalating the situation in the Middle East. It has no intention of responding further to the American assassination of General Soleimani. So he has sent both a tough message as well as a conciliatory message.
A tough message and a conciliatory message. But clearly, when asked about whether there's room for back-channel diplomacy still, he said that, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have a job. It's all going to rest on diplomacy. But then again, he's saying even if Iran strikes a deal with Trump, how long is it going to last? Because of what happened with the nuclear deal, which was arrived at after great debate and negotiations.
I think he's right to raise that issue. Let's not forget that there was no Iran crisis when President Trump took office. He created this Iran crisis through a series of moves, starting with the unilateral withdrawal from the nuclear deal. The nuclear deal was not just between the US and Iran. There were several other powers that were part of this deal, but Trump unilaterally withdrew from that deal and created an escalatory cycle which led to the present situation. On that, the international opinion is very clear, that it is Trump and his administration that escalated tensions with Iran, and that by carrying out the assassination of a foreign military general, Trump has set a dangerous precedent, because tomorrow another nation can do likewise. What will happen to international law? International law has to be respected by the strong nations. Otherwise, the weak nations will look at international law as applicable only to them.
Right. And I also wanted to ask you, Javad Zarif, in their candid dialogue in India's capital, New Delhi, said a lot of things. He also spoke about how there were people in India across 430 locations who mourned the death of General Qasem Soleimani, and the only ones celebrating the death of the Iranian general who was killed in the US assassination is the US and Daesh, or the Islamic State terror group.
The US and Iran can be partners in fighting ISIS. They can be partners in stabilizing Afghanistan. They can also be partners in ensuring that Pakistan stays the course, that it abandons its roguish actions against its neighbors. Yet, we have the US, because of pursuing narrow geopolitical interests in the Middle East, seeking a confrontation with Iran. Now that confrontation directly impinges on India's interests. India is a close and strategic partner of the United States. But when the Trump administration escalated the conflict with Iran, it did not take India into confidence. We just look at the oil import bill of India. It has shot up ever since Trump abandoned the nuclear deal with Iran. So India is paying billions of dollars in extra costs because of Trump administration's Iran policy.
And what do you think India is going to do at this point in time? Because clearly, there is talk of de-escalation, which is a good thing. But then for things to come to a consensus, it's going to be a long, long way away. And India has already reduced considerably its oil imports from Iran. But then again, India and Iran have had a long-standing relationship. How do you see India approaching Iran from here on? Now that Iran's foreign minister has come to India, has had such an open dialogue and sent out an open message from India.
by hosting the Iranian foreign minister, India is clearly signaling that it will not abandon Iran, that it seeks a diplomatic solution to de-escalate the tensions in the Middle East, and that it wants the US and Iran to negotiate an end to the present crisis, because this is just not a crisis involving the US and Iran. This is an international crisis impinging on the interests of many countries, including India. So, in hosting the Iranian foreign minister, India has sent a very clear signal of its intent to continue to engage Iran and to encourage the US not to further escalate the conflict with Iran. On the other hand, India has fully complied with the US sanctions against Iran. India has brought its oil imports from Iran to zero, while China is still importing oil from Iran. In other words, the main beneficiary of Trump's Iran sanctions is China. He has penalized friends like India and is rewarding potential rivals like China. And this is a thing that India would like to underscore.
Yeah, and don't you think in that sense that India should be allowed more elbow room in that sense when it comes to its dealings with Iran?
Definitely. India has a very important stake in Iran. India is also seeking to build a Pakistan bypassing transportation corridor to Afghanistan and Central Asia through Iran that goes through Gwadar port. The Gwadar port project is very important for India strategically. And the Trump administration's sanctions against Iran, as well as its attempt to squeeze Iran, impinge on that project too.
And this particular visit by the Iranian foreign minister, it is a 3-day visit. He will be meeting his Indian counterpart as Jaishankar. He will be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And next month we will be hosting, India will be hosting US President Donald Trump.
Well, there's no contradiction in all that, because India has to pursue its national interests, and those national interests demand that India engage closely with Iran. Iran and India were historically neighbors. They had a shared border until 1947. And even today, if you look at the map, Iran is virtually India's neighbor. So India cannot afford to abandon Iran. Iran is important for India on issues that extend beyond energy imports. It's strategically very important for India in relation to Afghanistan, also important in relation to Pakistan, and for the stability of the Arabian Sea region, which extends all the way to the Persian Gulf. On the other hand, India is a very close partner of the United States, and India is very eager to host President Trump. And hopefully, President Trump will finalize his trip to India for next month, because the speculation is that he'll be coming toward the end of February. And hopefully things will work out and that he will come to India very soon. But that visit will also underscore the importance of the US-India strategic partnership, not just in this part of the world, but across the Indo-Pacific, because the Indo-Pacific is where the real center of gravity is now positioned.
Brahma Chalani, Professor of Strategic Studies, joining us on this broadcast for this big story. Thank you, Brahma Chalani.